I'm joined by activist Ryan Wentz, who is also the host of the Left Bitches podcast, which I had the pleasure of being on just 2 weeks ago, which was really good. Let me bring you on, Ryan, so people can see you. There we go. You should have a nice split screen going on. So how are you? And this whole story with the police coming to your house is absolutely crazy. Can you tell us like what happened from the beginning, just how it all unfolded? Just go ahead.
Yeah, it's a pretty bizarre story, but basically I was visited by two plainclothes officers representing the California Highway Patrol yesterday, who said that they were at my apartment on behalf of the Capitol Police. They introduced themselves by popping their heads over the fence in my front yard and yelling my name, Ryan, Ryan. And I thought it was my Postmates delivery. And then I approached them and they showed me their badges, and they looked pretty legit, and they asked if they could come inside. I said no, so I met them around the side, and they basically right off the bat accused me of tweeting the day prior on Wednesday a threat to kill a sitting member of Congress. And I made no such threat, and eventually they specified that it was AOC, and they said that they were notified because I had tagged her in the tweet, which I did. But the tweet was just a video of a live stream in which she gave a really, really disappointing and insulting response about Palestine.
I'm just going to pull it up on the screen real quickly so people can see it, because we covered it yesterday on the show. It's thanks to you that I actually knew about it, right, in the first place. I think people can see it now. It's this live stream that she did with Michael Miller, head of the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York. And yeah, like what you say in the tweet, you just said her response was incredibly underwhelming, to say the very least. And the cops said that this was a death threat? Is that what they did?
Yes.
What the hell?
They kept insisting that I had threatened to kill AOC, which is so outlandish because anyone can see the tweet. And I've talked to multiple friends since then who've been like, you should have worded it way stronger. And I was like, yeah, it was pretty soft. And I didn't say that it was shameful. I didn't say that it was insulting. I just said it was underwhelming.
Yeah. You know? That's totally that's the mildest critique that one could possibly say. And even by her standards, right? She said that swearing is violence. You didn't even cuss. I cuss way more at her. Does that mean the fucking Mossad are going to show up at my door next? What is going on here? This is some fascist state shit.
It really is. It's just really concerning because we all know that the response to the Capitol riots on January 6th, across the spectrum, people were calling for to beef up law enforcement and to crack down on this anti-terrorism legislation. And anyone with two brain cells could have told you that that obviously would have disproportionately affected the left. And particularly, I think that we shouldn't lose sight of the issue of Palestine in all of this. I mean,
thank you.
Speaking up for Palestine, it shouldn't just be about me. It's about the issue that she was talking about in the video, and her response was just incredibly insulting. Because if you're on the left, you should understand that this is a very clear-cut issue, and if you don't have the vocabulary to explain that Israel is a genocidal settler colonial apartheid state, I'm not even expecting that from her, honestly. I'm expecting some liberal Human Rights Watch speak about oh, they're violating human rights on a daily basis. That's it. That's all I would expect from her, and she couldn't even give that.
Yeah, and she, interestingly enough, there's an interview with Glenn Greenwald in 2018, which was with The Intercept, and I played that yesterday to contrast the clip that you posted of her now and how she was in 2018, and she seems to be much more enlightened back then than she is now. And just so people can in case people have not seen the clip, I just want to play a few seconds of it just so they can realize how utterly absurd it is. So again, this is on April 1st. How fitting.
Towards peace, both between Israelis and Palestinians, as well as within the entire region, such as the Abraham Accords.
Yeah. So, earlier just now, you and I were talking about the what and the how.
Yes.
And I think that when we talk about establishing peace, centering people's humanities, protecting people's rights, it's not just about the what and the end goal, which often gets a lot of focus. But I actually think it's much more about the how and the way that we are coming.
So, I mean, she goes on like that for a few minutes where she's like, it's about the what and the how and the who and the where, and it's just gibberish. And, I also want to show people this thread that you posted about the cops coming, and one of them left their card, right? So,
Yep.
His name is Christopher Van Claveren, and so, I mean, did you ask for them to give you their card, or I mean, was this voluntary, or what happened exactly?
Well, only one of them gave me their card, Christopher, and then there was another one who didn't give me a card.
Okay.
But yeah, they both were interrogating me about really personal things, including my mental health, my family, where my
What?
family lives. Yeah, they were like, do they live in the area? They were like, tried to feign concern over like, are you doing okay mentally? I was like, I mean, not when you undercover police are coming to my fucking apartment and like, I'm being visited for a mildly critical tweet of a member of Congress who should be able to handle way more than that. I mean, it was so outrageous that they jumped from this is incredibly underwhelming to you threatened to kill her. That's just insane.
It is, and I actually called the number and I left a voicemail for both of the investigators. I also emailed the Capitol Police. I called AOC's office. I left a message. I messaged her on Instagram, on Facebook. I sent her office an email as well. I tried understanding from all these parties what the hell is going on. Of course, there's been no answer. Did you get an answer? Did you try following up with any of them? Because according to Ryan Grimm on Twitter, he's saying that a spokesperson for AOC says like she doesn't know anything about the tweet. Like, I mean, what do you make of that? And did you get any response from her office about this?
Yeah, I didn't get a response from her office, which is kind of disappointing because I mean, not that I was expecting it, but I was thinking that she would at least be concerned that someone who is also on the left, I mean, I don't at this point even consider her part of the left, but I made a mild criticism and was intimidated and visited by undercover cops. And
Yep.
I would think that she would want to smooth that over and come out explicitly and say, like, it wasn't me, I had no part in this, because she, uses all of this rhetoric about abolishing ICE. She's said that before. I think she's flip-flopped since.
Yeah.
And being just against, like, general police state tactics. But it's really clear now that, I mean, if her office did flag this and communicate it to the Capitol Police, that she's just entrenching the police state, the national security state. We already know she does that abroad with imperialism. She might say it every so often in an Instagram live, but she's totally invested in imperialism, and her responses to all of the U.S.'s atrocities abroad, war crimes, coups, have been consistently disappointing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, did the cops actually tell you that it was this tweet specifically? Because, I mean, out of common sense, yes, I think it's this one because it's the most recent one and you tagged her in it. But did they actually tell you that it was this one? And also, I'm also curious how you found that it was the Capitol Police that sent them. Did they tell you that? Did they volunteer that information to you?
Yes, they did. So one of the first things they said to me was that we're here as CHP officers, but on behalf of the Capitol Police. And they kept referring to a tweet from the day before in which I tagged the sitting member of Congress, and then they clarified that it was AOC eventually. And Yeah, so it was clear that that was the tweet they were referring to. I kept saying, you know, I just posted a live stream video of her and said that I was disappointed with her response, but they kept insisting that I threatened to kill her. And then something crossed my mind several hours later. I was just thinking through all of the different scenarios, and I was like, I mean, I know she receives really vile messages. And I don't doubt that someone was really outraged in the comments of my tweet. And it's totally possible that someone could have replied to my tweet with a more threatening message, and that I was caught up in the middle of it. And then I received a DM this morning from Ryan Grimm saying that he had heard from two Capitol Police officers that I was caught up in the middle of it, and that there was a threatening reply to my tweet.
Okay, so that's possibly a scenario that's going on. But I mean, if you know, if we look at what Ryan Grimm said here, that they did not report this to police, right? Because he says a spokesperson for AOC says they did not report this post to police. So I mean, what's going on here? Like what is the flagging system, do you think? Do you think that's something in her office? Do you think that's something the Capitol Police are doing by themselves? I mean, obviously it's hard to know, but you know, I mean, what do you think is going on here? Because I mean, we also saw a tweet. Again, I don't know if this is verified, but also about someone having the FBI turn up at their house because they criticized Ted Cruz or something. So I mean, like, what's going on here?
Yep. That's a great question. I really don't know. I would love to know more because, of course, if it was her office that sent police to my house, then that's a really, really wild overreach on their behalf. If it was just the Capitol Police acting independently and then ordering the CHP officers to come to my house, that's also incredibly disturbing. Yeah. You know, some people were saying, a lot of people were like questioning whether it actually happened. Some people were insinuating that it was a like private investigator. So I'm kind of unsure about who to believe. All I know is that we live in a really shady police state where there's not much, you know, it's really difficult to kind of dig through these things, and there's not much transparency at all. And this is just another reminder. I mean, I obviously was on the receiving end of it to an extent, but a lot of people are killed in these situations. You know, we live in a really, really disturbing time and place right now. And I think that the Capitol riots definitely provoked a lot of this response, this draconian, you know, showing up at, not that they didn't do that before, of course, but I think that people were kind of whipped into a frenzy.
Yeah. And I mean, there are people who are saying, I was reading in the comments saying that, oh, well, it's obviously fake because otherwise the FBI would have been sent there. But I mean, this is, I mean, if we've learned one thing about post 9/11, it's that, you know, every agency, and also in the UK, by the way, will be mobilized in order to, you know, combat anything the government deems a threat. So I mean, there's also someone I think that you retweeted, Chip Gibbons, who shows that you know, there are documents here showing that in the past. This is according to a Freedom of Information Act that they obtained about an FBI investigation into Palestinian solidarity activists. You had the California Highway Patrol involved in this as part of an LA Joint Terrorism Task Force. So I mean, you know, it is quite frightening. And I also saw this tweet over here from California Highway Patrol headquarters saying that the CHP often assists in investigations at the request of allied agencies. Please contact the U.S. Capitol Police for additional information. So, I mean, this is confirmed, like that this happened. I mean, I have no, you know, I think that it's just a question of, you know, people trying to carry water for her. Like, I mean, I don't understand how people can just, their reactions like, oh, of course this didn't happen. You're making that up. Like that is so messed up. And not to mention that they've even confirmed it now. So the question is, you know, who ordered it? That's the question. And, you know, there are some people who are alleging that maybe, you had like Republicans who did like a false flag or something, so that we blame AOC. Do you think there's any substance to that? Would you lend that theory any credence? And like how do you plan to move forward with this now?
I'm really thankful for all the support that I've gotten and the interest in the story, because it's obviously a really disturbing case of, suppression of free speech, big tech crackdowns, because I'm sure that Twitter was in some way involved,
right,
whether
with your information.
With my information, my location. So that's the big tech aspect of it is really disturbing. And then the possibility of it being maybe flagged by pro-Israel accounts on Twitter. I don't know. I really don't know, but that aspect of it can't be overlooked, because the matter at hand is that I was criticizing her, and she brands herself as the most progressive member of Congress. Mm-hmm. I was criticizing her for not being progressive, for not being left enough on the issue of Palestine. Yep. And so if they really are threatened, they're threatened by her. And she doesn't even provide a substantive response in solidarity with Palestinians. I'm demanding more. And the fact that could easily have, the tweet kind of blew up. It has 900,000 views. I'm sure pro-Israel people saw it and didn't like that there was criticism from the left of AOC on the issue of Palestine.
Right.
They want the Overton window to be set so that that mealy-mouthed answer that she gave is the most left response on the issue of Palestine, and it's not. So I really wouldn't discount that at all. I know how vicious and well coordinated these pro-Israel groups are. So
yeah, absolutely. That's definitely not lost on me. I can assure you that, because the Zionist lobby in the UK, how they operate there. There's a documentary that also Al Jazeera did called The Lobby, which goes into detail of that a bit. And if it's not just that, it's also well documented. I mean, this is it's more or less common knowledge. They have a lot of reach, and I also would not be surprised if they flagged it. I've also seen how they're involved in Facebook's, Facebook outsources their fake news checks, and you have a lot of pro-Israel groups that are involved in that, deciding what's who gets these labels and who's booted off of the platform. So it is scary, because again, just so people are clear on this, on your Twitter profile, you don't even have your name. So how did the police get this? I mean, obviously Twitter cooperated with law enforcement, right? And if it's over this, I mean, what the hell? Yeah.
And even if it was in response to someone's reply to my tweet, do you not know how Twitter works? Do you not know that threat wasn't issued by me? You'd think people, I mean, maybe it was to send a chilling effect and to be like, you can't even post something that could provoke harassment, in which case that's a really dangerous, slippery slope, because if I can't post something that outrages people, that's just a standard response from an elected politician in Congress, then what can we post about?
Yeah, exactly. And so again, what people need to take away from this is that it's not just about AOC. It's about the fact that you have this what's supposedly a free platform for political discourse and public discourse, this big tech company, Twitter, cooperating with law enforcement, and law enforcement effectively permitting themselves to come and harass a private citizen for the mildest of criticisms. It does send a chilling message. But I want to say one thing right here, Ryan. Fuck them, okay? I mean, these people, they can go to hell, all of them. I stand in solidarity with you, and I respect you so much for bringing light to this topic and not letting these people get away with it, because I can only imagine you must be pretty shook up about it, and you still spoke out about it and let us know what happened to you. So I really appreciate that. I think it takes a lot of courage, and we all support you, and I thank you for standing up for Palestinians. My cousin is half Palestinian, so this is also it is fundamentally a human rights issue, but it's also a personal issue for me because I have family, and so are there any more thoughts that you have or things that you wanted to say? The mic is yours. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just really want to stress the issue of Palestine because, again, as great as it's been to receive messages of personal support, and I really do appreciate that, I do want to highlight that we need to be able to speak out against Israel. We need to name what Israel is doing in Palestine. The follow-up tweet to the video that I posted of AOC, I said that she said what and how, but she didn't say colonization, genocide, apartheid, occupation. It's just, we need to use these words. We need to have the vocabulary to make legitimate criticisms of Israel and strong criticisms of Israel, because this is an apartheid state that receives $3.8 billion every year from the U.S. If the U.S. cut off support to Israel, there would be no giant military empire supporting them. You know, I totally support the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. I support any and all methods that Palestinians may use to liberate their country from this horrible, horrible apartheid settler colony.
I'm so humbled and grateful for you, Ryan. I truly am. And, it was wonderful being on your podcast on Left Bitches and speaking with you 2 weeks ago. Where can people find more of your work and follow you and connect with you on social media or elsewhere? I'm going to put up your Twitter right now, but please feel free to plug everything else.
Yeah, cool. My Twitter is @queeralamode. We also have a Soapbox Twitter @soapbox_soapbox. And Who Are Right is the Left Bitches Twitter, our podcast. And on Instagram, I'm at 13RLW and Soapbox Stand. So yeah, I really appreciate the support and the opportunity to talk about this, Richard.
Of course, it's my pleasure having you on. And, again, we'll stand with you in solidarity. And thank you so much for everything, Ryan. All right, we'll talk soon again.
All right, for sure. Thank you.
You take care. Bye-bye.